So we kind of became each other's village because our husbands were both working long hours, traveling, and kind of just decided Kitt would be my wife.
It's actually funny because when I first started watching them, I was like, are they a lesbian couple? Because they kept saying our house. I was like, oh, cute. It's a lesbian couple who does organizing together. But then it's not at all.
So I knew I wanted to make some kind of a change, and I wasn't quite sure what that looked like. And Kitt, I used to be an event planner. I did not do weddings. I was not a wedding planner. Okay.
Did not do weddings. That finger is something. I don't know if that's a DE finger, but that's something there.
We would go around to consignment stores in Los Angeles and collect all the really good stuff and then send it to secondhand stores, and they would pay us. We were treasure collectors, essentially, treasure hunters. Thank God for Kitt and her ability for numbers, because for me it was like, oh, this is fun and we're getting a check in the mail. And for Kitt, it was like, I'm going to calculate how many hours we're spending each week doing this and actually like track our time and then take that number against the check that we're making, which we're dividing by 2, and see how much we're making per hour. And that was so sad. It was so sad. Smack in the face. I'm just going to say it was below minimum wage. Way below.
She seems a little bit more like just play. Just, I'll go out and, we'll collect these clothes because it's fun for us, and she's not necessarily obligated to keep track of the financial matters. But then Kitt over here is like, let me write down exactly, what we're spending and then how much we're making by selling these clothes. So I could be off on this, but it seems like she's doing more of the ST stuff. Like she's a little bit more obligated to do the ST stuff. And then she's just kind of skibby over here. Like, this is who I would be. There was one time where I tracked in a spreadsheet what I was spending on gas and car repairs and stuff, but I remember it being really hard to keep track of all that stuff and remember to write it down. And this is something I kind of noticed watching her, is she's doing this kind of like sleep energy stuff that me being sleep last is not necessarily an instinct for me. Tracking things, I have to work a little bit harder at that, and then it seems like she's naturally doing that a little bit more.
So the marriage of your desire for things to be functional and easy and streamlined, and my desire to make things feel that way and also look really attractive, just became the perfect marriage. And I'd already decided to marry her, so.
Functional and streamlined. Yeah, again, it kind of sounds like she's more obligated to making it work in this dynamic. And she's like, I want to make it look pretty. And she's like, I want to make it work.
It was great. That's great. Well, and then we also created little terms for ourselves. You're the micro organizer, and I'm the macro organizer. And I think, honestly, the two of those together is what I think makes us and our organizing system so successful. That's right. It's.
So I'm wondering here if she means micro by Joni. Is it Joni? She's doing the let's put labels on things and make it look pretty, and the zones kind of once they get to a job, she can do some of that stuff. And then Kitt is doing more of the, she said macro, maybe spreadsheets or finances or planning.
Yes, and just remember, if it's practical for you, it's perfect for you.
A little TE in the name there. If it's practical, just make it work.
Good morning, friends. We are trying another blog style video in the pantry, and today we are going to show you how using a few products can take your pantry organization from meh to wow.
The faces.
On pantry, I will admit. So things are categorized and organized, but you'll see that it doesn't look super organized because the categories kind of all blend in together. Here is the before of the pantry. You can see that the items are generally categorized. It's not too disorganized, but it doesn't look organized. The systems are probably not going to be maintainable over time. In fact, they haven't been. Here you can see there's the breakfast, coffee, we've got nuts and dried fruits, honeys, nut butters, jellies, cooking oil, dry goods. This is like taco shells, tortilla chips, into your canned goods, up into pasta. And
so she does this a few times throughout her videos, is I'm guessing this is kind of an ST report, just like listing what things are. Like in the way an ST report about your daily routine would be something like I got up in the morning and then I took a shower and then I brushed my teeth and then, she's kind of doing that, but with these products, it seems like.
This is not my favorite part, but a necessary part. Oh, look at that. Gross. Man.
Kitt, where's the all-purpose spray? What I wanted to say about this is pantry organization and using products is actually something I have done a few times, in my own apartments or at my parents' place. And so I was kind of thinking, this is not my saviors. So SETE, something like that, an obligation to making things work, kind of focused on the things realm and organizing, making things look pretty. I think one thing I could say is that this would probably be S over N, I'm guessing, just because she doesn't seem like she's going to run away into analogy land, and she keeps kind of explaining things like there's the ST reports. She keeps explaining things in the physical realm. She's not running away with analogies.
I've got my measurements. I've got a general idea of what I'm looking for, so let's go shopping. It's super bright out here, but here we are. Our home away from home. Container store.
The Container Store. Love.
You remember, I have super, super deep pantry shelves, which means I have really deep corners. And I'm going to find the biggest turntable they have here. It's one of our favorites. It's a 21-inch acrylic spit tray. I'm not seeing it on the shelves here, but we're going to ask to see if they have it in the back because we need something about this size to really get into those back corners.
So here, where she's chewing the gum, it really reminded me of the candle lady from Wisconsin. Hang on.
Hello, everybody. This is going to be extremely explicit. So if you don't like swearing or angry people from Wisconsin, then turn.
Yeah, this lady who just goes on an insane rant about Bath and Body Works candles being sold in Wisconsin. Definite great part of internet history lore if you haven't seen it, and completely unhinged. Just the way, because this lady's chewing gum, and the way Kitt was chewing gum and being like, I'll ask in the back. I'll ask the manager to see if they have it in the back. It really reminded me of this lady being like, check if you have the candles in the back.
Did it. Successful shopping trip at the Container Store.
And gathering so much.
I think I got all the right products. Let's see. Overloaded here.
Overloaded.
We're back from the Container Store. I've picked up my goodies, and I'm going to start plotting them out into the pantry based on my map, which I did a little.
So I thought this was interesting. She made a map of where she wants things to go. Leveraging my saviors. I'm SETE, sleep last, right? When I was organizing pantries, I did not do this. I would not write anything down. I would go and gather a bunch of stuff, and then I would just, because I just kind of had like an idea in my head, and then I just throw it at the pantry and be like, I hope that works. So her doing this is different than sleep last. I think this is planning a little bit more. This is taking the time to write something down. But this shows some pre-planning and some thought. So maybe some sleep energy here, going over known information, planning, organizing. So if we compare it to me, maybe a point for not sleep last, question mark.
Shot for you, and we're going to see how all this product works in the pantry. Exciting! So we brought back our containers from the Container Store, and I've started mapping them out into the pantry. I did find the 21-inch spin trays, which are my favorite and are going to really help us in those deep, deep corners.
So she had to ask the manager, but as far as I can tell, she managed to get the 21-inch spin trays. Good for her.
And you can see how nice the water hyacinth bins are fitting on the depth of these shelves. But what's really great is that these deep drawer bins are the perfect size for this little nook in the pantry.
That's so good. Look at that. It's fitting perfectly.
And now I just got to think about what makes the most sense to put here. So another tip to help keep your pantry organized is to decant items from a bag into a mason jar. Whoa. Well, that didn't work, did it?
Okay, real quick rant. This is why I don't even like this mason jar thing, because everyone in this community, the organizing community, is like, oh, put your stuff in, decant your stuff into cereal bins and like these glass jars. Okay, what if this happens? This is my issue, because then your stuff can't fit into a glass jar and you have to keep the like extras in the bag until you use it up. So like, what's the point? Might as well just keep it in the bag. I will admit that it's nice to not have to deal with packaging once you're done with the thing, and it makes your pantry look nicer. But in my experience, when I get back from the grocery store, I'm like, oh my god, I'm exhausted. Let me just like throw that in the pantry wherever I can, find space, and then hope it works out. Again, sleep energy is, I have sleep last, so that might be a difference here.
Well, that didn't work, did it? These are
Never works.
typically pretty inexpensive. We've topped it off here with a really cute bamboo lid for aesthetics. What's awesome about these flour containers is that they hold, I think, a whole 5-pound bag of flour. So they've got this little clip here, and you can pull it off. Oops. And you can clip it on right here. The coolest thing is here, this built-in leveler. And so when you're measuring out your flour, you can just level it off. This is the ProKeeper brown sugar container.
She's going into the products a little bit right now, and I was just kind of looking through the class. I didn't spoil anything. I had to like hold my hand over the screen. If someone knows where I can find playlists of all the clips used in the class so I can look at those without potentially spoiling anything. Like I turn the volume off and then I like cover my hand over the screen, so I just see like the top pixel and I see what video they're grabbing. But I saw that they were comparing this in the ops class. They were comparing this to another video.
Tell you how many times this has saved my butt. I use this maybe once a year for threading through something, grabbing it, and pulling it back out.
Oh yeah, all right.
This is a video about Adam Savage's from Mythbusters, his tool organization, but he immediately goes to, look at this cool thing, look at this cool thing. So in this case, it kind of seems like Kitt is going into the product organization a little bit, and this is SI. So I remember a long time ago watching a YouTube video about NI versus SI, kind of SE versus SI basically, and SI kind of makes the things personal. So, he's going through and he's talking about the item's details and what he uses it for, things like that. So you can kind of compare, is Kitt doing that type of thing?
And it comes with this cutie patootie little terracotta disc. You soak this in water for, I think, 5 to 10 minutes. Just pop it in. And then it's going to keep your brown sugar super moist and soft, because there's nothing worse when you go to start baking and you've got rock hard brown sugar. Okay.
So in that case, she's kind of going into the things, but it's about the organization products, not about like the actual food. It's not about, I got this brown sugar from here. It's about, look at this cool organizing thing and what it does. But again, you have to look at the ratio. So is she talking about categories and things generally 80% of the time, and then talking about specific things 20% of the time? In that case, it would be SC over SI. So I still have to kind of watch for that.
I'm going to give you the full reveal.
Classic. I remember this era of organizing. There was so much plastic. Here you can see they're starting to shift away from the plastic a little bit. I'm sorry, this is just another sensory, because this is like in my FI box. They did start to shift away from using so much plastic. Here you can kind of start to see the shift with these water hyacinth bins, I guess she called them, just the natural products. This is the classic Instagram organizer look. Gotta love it. Container store all the way.
Nut butters, honey, and jelly. So those are all here in these awesome intra-design pantry bins. Potatoes go in here. These awesome baskets allow them to breathe. Also my onions and garlic.
I'm curious what they're going to say in the class, because she's kind of going into talking about the organizing products, but she's also talking about categories. So I'm really curious how they're going to present this in the class and what I should be looking for.
Other things I cook with a lot are my oils and my vinegars, which are also on this 21-inch spin tray. And then also into like the cooking dinner prep area, I've got pastas, beans and grains, and dry goods.
Okay, kind of thinking about this again, this is the focus on the concept. So the SE-NI axis, where it's what is your organizing concept. But again, like people with SI will do this for a little bit and then they'll go to back to focusing on the things. I'm just trying to think, like, if this was Adam Savage, how would he be approaching this situation? Would he be talking about the food products? Would he be talking about the organization products some more? And what is she talking about in contrast to that? She's not talking about the food products, like this is my favorite artichoke dip, but Martha Stewart doesn't do that either. Martha Stewart, who also has SI, will be like, oh, this is my favorite ladle, it's good for this. So I guess Kitt is kind of doing like, these are my, favorite water hyacinth bins or whatever. I don't know, I kind of see her doing both. So I'm a little bit confused on this one.
Got my all-purpose flour, my oat flour, my sugar, brown sugar, powdered sugar, baking soda, baking powder. These are like, I'm kind of obsessed with these.
Can I just say, ST report, the way she's like sugar, baking powder, baking soda. She's going through each of those.
So here are some additional tips for organizing your pantry. Number one, don't overplan. I know that sounds silly, but you could really make yourself crazy trying to plan out in advance every single product that you're going to use. Know that there's going to be a little bit of room for error. You're probably going to buy some products. You can try a couple and know that you're going to return some. That's always a good idea. Number two, don't take off any labels until you've put it into the space and you know that it works, because the best laid plans always end up having to change. And if you've taken off the labels, you can't return them anymore. Tip number three is maintenance. Don't let all this hard work go to waste. Maintaining a system does take work. Set a calendar reminder and go through your pantry once a month, once every other month. It doesn't have to be super regular basis, but it's gonna, over time, need a little love.
It's gonna need a little sleep energy. I think the way I approach things like this is different, because things will get so out of control and I'll just one day be like, oh my god, I need to sleep last this whole thing, so I'll spend a whole day pulling everything out, going to the container store and organizing. I don't make the sleep energy of like, oh, let me put this in my calendar to go through the pantry once a month. That is sleep energy. It's like planning to organize and being responsible for the upkeep of your systems and knowing that that is going to need organization after some extroverted use. So I would say that's another difference to me, is like I just sleep last my stuff until it gets too overwhelming, and then I have like a whole overhaul. So I think that's a little bit, if she is actually keeping up her systems the way that she says she is, I guess that would be another point for not sleep last, but I don't really know. I guess she could be, and she's just figured out how to do the sleep energy.
Hi friends, we're back with another video today, and we've got 3 tips to help you stay organized. even for the messiest people, which is why Joni's not here. So rule number 1, don't put it down, put it away. This is the basic principle foundation of organizing. Everything that you own should have a place that you can put it away when you are done using it. For example, when you're walking in the door, coming home from a long day at work, don't just throw your keys wherever you feel like it. Have a designated spot, whether that be a basket on an entryway table, a hook right by the front door. But temporarily, just get yourself a spot. Even if it's just a little piece of tape on a table, that this is your spot where you're putting something, just start there.
I keep seeing stuff where she's kind of like, just make it work, and you don't necessarily need to have everything perfect. TEFI question mark.
Grab a laundry basket or something else that you can collect things in and pick everything up that doesn't belong in that room. If you can within that 10 minutes, put it back where it belongs. If you can't, at least you've collected it and you've cleaned and tidied that.
She's not allergic to play. Not play last. She's kind of playful a lot of the time.
Now, the 10-minute tidy does not mean clean everything up and just collect it into a basket where it sits there for eternity, or shoving things into places where you can't see them. That's not actually the 10.
Oh, no. What is that? Is that a DE finger? Is that a lead? Is that a decider DE finger? Could be nothing.
Just find some way to get yourself committed to those 10 minutes.
She's kind of reminding me of Erwin McManus here, another masculine DE, where he's like, don't do this, do this. Because if I were giving people advice, I think I would be, well, I'm masculine DE. Hold on.
Third tip is really something that I do. I am working on my family members, truly. Guys, are you listening to me? The third tip is leave a room better than you found it. So before you leave a room, I just do a quick...
Are you listening to me?
I just do a quick scan and I look for any items. I'm thinking like the Terminator, like zoning in on things that do not belong in that room. Just leave the room better than you found it. Pick things up that don't belong when you're moving from room to room. Don't leave a room worse than you found it by leaving your stuff all over the place. That's just not nice to your...
Telling you what you should and shouldn't do quite assertively.
Hi, I'm Joni. And I'm Kitt. We're the co-founders of Practically Perfect. And today we're jumping into why we want to get organized, how our brains react and respond to clutter and being organized. So I've done some reading in preparation for this video, and I read some articles that talked about like the evolutionary development of our brain and how we process information. And when environments or things are cluttered, we have sort of the fight or flight response to it, and so it adds stress and anxiety, like literal stress and anxiety to our lives. It can also lead to, I think I talked about it a little bit last week, decision fatigue, and that's why your brain feels really overwhelmed when things just seem chaotic around you. And they have actually found that letting go of items that you feel a sense of belonging over can actually cause pain to your brain. That's why it sometimes can be really hard to let things go.
If this was Erwin McManus, he would be like, what the chaos represents is the lack of love in your life, and we all just need love. She's not doing NF blast. She's not running away with analogies. She's staying sensor clear, I would say.
I have 2 drop zones in my house. For my kids and me, it's our entryway table. For my husband, it's the kitchen counter. Where's your drop zone? Well, it's interesting. It's a dangerous tendency that I have to want to just clean up everyone else's stuff.
I'm struggling a little bit with observer versus decider. See, I used to think observer versus decider was so clear. Observers talk about stuff and deciders talk about people and identity. But the thing that kind of tripped me up is MKBHD, whoever that guy is. Sometimes a decider can talk about things a lot and then just have weirdness with the people. Like they hardly ever talk about people, but then they have some weirdness in that area. So I can't tell if she's a decider and just good at the things like making the spreadsheets and tracking the money, or if she's just an observer and focused on things. I'm struggling with that a little bit because I feel like I've been off with observer and decider a lot recently.
I have a sense of calm knowing that there is a plan and that it's not chaos and frustration. I know that I'd rather spend time on the front end creating the systems, creating that plan, so that way I'm not frantic in the moment trying to figure out where things are, because I don't function well. I can function well. I don't like functioning well under stress.
It seems like she was kind of talking about sleep. I prefer to be organized and then go out and do the play. Because I'll just, for me, play first and sleep last. I'll just like go out and do, I prefer to figure things out in the moment, like with other people, that play energy. That's where I'm pretty comfortable. So that's another difference. Yeah, probably not sleep last.
Whether you realize it or not, everybody has a very emotional attachment to the things that are in their home. And I think that's one of the great reasons to hire a professional organizer. Not that I'm giving ourselves a plug, but we don't have that emotional attachment. And so we're able to help people make decisions about things in a non-emotional way that sort of takes away that fatigue and overwhelm that they'll feel from going through all that stuff.
Kind of seemed like she was talking about, we know you have your FI feelings, but we can come in and do our TE thing.
We're down on the floor in the kitchen, so
Under the sink.
It's under the sink.
It's one of my favorite spaces to organize, actually.
You say that about every space, Joni.
Oh, I've been outed. I love to organize. But we have a really, really special product from iDesign. A few products, but specifically one that excites me because Kitt builds it like it's, I don't know, like Legos or something. She just builds these things. She doesn't even look at the instructions.
She doesn't look at the instructions when she's building things?
I have to dig through and really see if I can find what I'm looking for.
Yeah, don't know what you have, don't know what you need to buy.
Exactly.
Can't find what you need when you need it. And let me tell you something, when you need it, you need it.
Absolutely.
So
They have some good one-liners. It's like this bug spray. She's like, when you need it, you need it. And Kitt is like, absolutely. Just so serious.
Things that we typically find under the sinks are cleaning supplies, rubber gloves, trash bags, just extra.
She has such a cute pixie-like look, but also a little bit of a wider face.
reusable bags.
Reusable bags.
Sometimes, I swear we almost always find at least one empty bottle of cleaning product.
For sure. Sponges, rags, bleach,
The ST reports.
all those kinds of fun things. And even like bug spray, like often is stored under the sink. I'm not sure why, but that's generally where most households keep it. Can I have a short one, a squatty one?
Sporty. So we've decided to relocate these bags to a different place in the house. There's a utility closet, and we feel like it's a better spot to keep them in a tidy way.
So she is building this whole thing, apparently without instructions, but it doesn't actually look that complicated. I know they used this video in the class, so I really watched this a lot of times trying to see what they were seeing. I'm just kind of getting ST saviors, because part of the reason I wanted to make this video is this is why ops baffles me, is how can you get someone's type from some organizing videos they made on the internet? How can you get their type if they're not spilling their soul and all their secrets and their darkest fears? I think for this one, it's maybe that, like other people come out with messages. Kitt Fife is not really coming out with, she had to go through a really dark time and this is what she's discovered. It's not earth-shattering, lessons like that. So I think that maybe the way you could approach typing someone when you have just this kind of content is they're riding on their saviors. So what are their saviors? And just believe what they're telling you. So in this case, I'm just seeing ST stuff. I'll go to the sensory and then make the thing work.
It's been a challenge while we have more vertical space to also keep our categories together in the way that we want, because the height of the products that are going under here are posing a little bit of a challenge. I'm not going to...
The categories. They keep talking about the categories. Adam Savage also talked about the categories, though, but then he was, running and talking about the specific thing.
Kitt did it. I just carried a watermelon.
Oh, they saw me awkwardly build it.
I think that this would not be FE, extroverted decider, because if this was someone like Sonia Sotomayor or Erwin McManus with the FE, it's more like the way they go to do something impersonal and extroverted is more with the feelings, talking about the feelings. She's not really talking about the feelings so much. It just seems like when she's going to do something extrovertedly, her default mode is the TE rather than the FE.
And we love them. We do. And we use them everywhere. So this is the cube, and it was perfect for the little bit of scrubbing powder and all of the dishwashing accoutrement.
Yes, and I just love the way these bins have a place for your hand to grab them out.
She's not really going into, this is my favorite scrubbing brush, and this sponge is really great for that. I guess they're going into detail about the organizing bin itself a little bit.
Here on the right side, I think the category, correct me if I'm wrong, master of the undersink area, is the items that aren't used as frequently category.
You're going to get a big fat F.
You're wrong.
That answer.
I would like to try again.
This is actually...
Can I get a retake? Will you average my 2 scores?
She's pretty funny.
This is one of my favorite products on the planet.
Yes, it's awesome. Not only is it you can roll it across your sink as a dish dryer, but you can use it as a trivet too. It's like totally heat resistant. Is that the right word?
Going into detail about the things a little bit here.
Tip number 3 is to find the perfect products that give you an extra benefit of using space that you might not otherwise be able to reach or access. And tip number 4 is to categorize and make zones if you can under that little space. At least have the things that you use the most often where you can see and reach them. Okay, and that is a wrap on our
Was that her doing more blast than she did? But she also did the blaster lessons a little bit in the last video, but she tends to do them a lot too. So I wanted to try using this one because I think I got a little carried away last time. So I just wanted to narrow things down a little more slowly. So let's say that I'm sleep last and she's naturally doing things differently than I am, then this would be not sleep last. So what if, well, okay, let's start with, this is not N saviors. I think this is S over N. Maybe could be TE but I'm just seeing she's not running away with analogies in any way and staying with being sensor clear. So if I'm just believing her with that and believing those are her saviors, then I'm going to take out everything that is savior N. Okay, I took off everything that is savior N. Also, if I'm believing her that she actually does make plans, which is in contrast to sleep last me, then I would be able to knock off anything that is sleep last. So, yeah, and she doesn't seem like this amount of energy anyway. I don't know, it could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. But it seems like she is doing the sleep energy quite a bit, more than I would at least. I'm also going to get rid of anything that is FE. Yeah, I think that's not her go-to extroverted decider. What if this were also sleep over play? Because she kind of said that she gets really freaked out with the play energy. Like, what if she was more extroverted, but higher on the sleep? Like sleep over play? Do I think this is the most introverted person in the world? No. Sleep, consume, blast, play, no. But does she seem blast last? Not really. But blast last, I have a hard time because Louis C.K. is blast last. And he can talk. And he can do lessons. But someone who's blast last, like Robert Pattinson, he's just like blah, 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 blah. So I have a little bit, I just haven't seen 100 blast last people, so I don't know, but does this seem like an IP? not really. The only IP I could imagine this being is FISE. I just keep seeing the ST saviors. So that's what I was thinking about.
Today, we've taken all the makeup that we could collect from our team, and we have dumped it here on the floor, mostly because we wanted a big workspace where we could be comfortable and spread things out to really look at them. We're going to be going through, categorizing items, pulling things out that are probably beyond their use-by date, because there are expiration dates to your beauty products. Brow. These are eyes, yes?
Yeah. Glosses, sticks, chapsticks.
Yes. Everything done.
This is other people's stuff as well, but she's not really going into like, this is my favorite lip gloss.
It's actually very quick and easy. Totally, shockingly straightforward. Yeah. So we're going to highlight a few products that we think are great to organize makeup specifically. This awesome little divider, you're probably looking at it and you're like, what the heck could I use that to organize? It's great for palettes. It's also great for blushes. Anything that you kind of want to sit up on its edge so you can see. It's kind of just like the perfect little organizing tool. And so actually today we're going to use this to organize the eyeshadow palettes.
We also have a variety of modular stackable drawers. These pieces are all separate, but when stacked together they have awesome little rubber feet, so they can stay together as one piece without sliding around, and you can build this exactly to your needs. It's great to have drawers because you can create categories that way. It's also really nice to have some things that are everyday essentials.
I don't know, this one's hard for me. I feel like it should be obvious, but it's hard because she's going into a little bit more like, yeah, you just have the drawer and then you do. But then Kitt is like, well, but this thing, you can put the blushes like this. They could be both SE. I don't know why I'm having a hard time seeing this one.
That aren't in a drawer, so you don't have the extra step of opening, but rather you can just grab exactly what you need. For people who have beautiful shades of lipstick, this is fantastic because you can really see what you have and you're not digging around in a drawer to find what you need.
But then she's also talking about the product in a personal way a little bit too.
Quickly select exactly the one you're looking for.
So what's great about this is I think they sell this separately, but it's the perfect size that it can go right into the divided tray here, right? Which makes a great little vanity.
That's really nice. Just admiring the organization for a second here.
Start over here with this tower. We thought of this as like the face tower. You've got your bases and your primers, which are over here. And we moved into categorizing sort of the highlighters and more nighttime products over here. And then we were thinking about it in order of how somebody might put this on their face. So those things go first, and then, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we go to blush, right? And then you move down into your highlighters, which we put just below.
But this is more category talk, so she's not like, look at this one little blush thing. It's like, okay, we have the category of eyes and we have the category of foundation or whatever it is. Kind of feels like if this were Adam Savage, like at this point, he would be like, and look at this, and look at this, but I don't know.
And then this is really like our tools, right? So you've got your brushes, tweezers, trimming your eyebrows. Everybody does it. And the fan, and then other beauty tools like
the things specifically.
This beautiful little drawer underneath, because who doesn't want to have quick access to their face masks?
I can't imagine who.
Right.
Who wouldn't want to have access to their face masks? Can't imagine who. They're so funny.
I put liquid eyeshadow on my lips. No wonder it's tingling my lips. It's not for my lips.
We have created an eye zone over here. So all of the eye palettes and eye shadows, all of the palettes are upright and you can grab exactly what you need and they won't get messed around in a drawer where they might get broken. And then each drawer has its own category. This one is for lashes and this one is for the brows. So eye makeup in one specific zone.
That is totally your fault.
What are you saying it is?
It's an eyeshadow. It's a liquid eyeshadow.
But why would it react to the skin on your lips?
Her face. I'm just gonna do what I'm seeing is, I think that this is Savior TE. I could be wrong about that, but that's just what I'm just seeing that she's going to that very automatically. That seems like her default mode is the TE. Like, what if this was sleep over play? She does have blaster lessons, but not as much as the other girl. But she did have that video where she was like, do this, don't do this. Observer decider, I don't really want to go after that because I just feel like I haven't been good at catching that. Yeah, like I said before, it could be that she's a decider and she's good with the things, and so that's balanced, so she's able to just easily like make a spreadsheet. But that also could just be because she has sleep higher or sleep not last. This could be an observer in that she's talking about the things, not talking about people, and identity. Like, I was thinking, what if she's one of these, a TESE? But then I don't know that her sleep is so low. She said that she has a really hard time. She gets really anxious when she has to do the play. And so she prefers to do a lot of sleep planning beforehand. Could this be consume last? She did go out and gather all of that stuff from the Container Store, but I don't know that that would... I guess she could be consume last. I just think this isn't sleep last. Play last, consume last, blast last. But I'm play consume. But maybe if I had sleep higher, then I would be making the lists. I could see her being TESI or SETE or TESE. The SITEs I know are Rosamund Pike, I believe, and Elizabeth Moss. But does she seem like SITE? Does she seem like lead SI? Not really. I think she's Savior TE. Could be wrong about that. She could be SCFI. That's a pretty common type. And then activated on TE. I guess it could be this SCFI. I just think that she has TE in the Saviors. In the top two. TE in the top two. I guess this could be an EJ, could be an EP. Does this seem like an IJ? I guess it could be. All right, so this is their Instagram. It just seems like a very visual thing to do all this stuff and be very concerned with the aesthetics. Because yeah, like I'm visual and I love to do this organizing stuff. Maybe not audio, maybe not double masculine, maybe double feminine or visual. A real guess based on the information I have now. TESE, TESI. Okay, let me use the checklist here. So let's say this is ST, and let's say this is TE. Let's say this is sleepover play. Ooh. Bye-bye EPs. I guess this could be blast over consume, like a random story about self, takes you long, trails off, not ready. I didn't really see her doing that. In her 3 tips for staying organized videos, she had a lot of lessons and then same story about others. But I don't know. But either way, if you're doing sleep above play with TE and ST, then this is this category. But what if but this could also be SE, because she wasn't super going into the details about things. So I don't know whether this is SI or SE, I just think this is TE. But if I do sleep above play, it gets rid of all the SEs. I did notice Kitt is a little bit bigger frame, kind of like me, like broad shoulders. And then she's a little bit narrower, I guess, even in the face, a little bit longer, narrower face. Joni, I think it is. And then Kitt is a little bit, just slightly wider. And I guess that is something we see in the SEs, is a little bit more like broadness. I know that they will talk about SE versus SI in the class. I guess I kind of saw her doing a little bit of both. Like, it was very category heavy. I do think it's probably gonna be SE, and they're comparing it to Adam Savage SI, but I don't know, I guess it could be SI. I'm a little bit struggling with that percentage wise of like what she's doing. So I'm excited to watch the class and see what they were seeing. So, what did I get wrong? What did I get right in the typing of Kitt Fife? This is her type. She is a visual ISTJ, SI, TE, blast, play, sleep, consume, last. What I got right was the TE. I was seeing the TE, and I was seeing a little bit visual masculine TE, but I wasn't really putting my money on that. I wasn't really guessing hard on that. And then the SI, so I really liked watching the class. Like, this is why I like doing these, is because it felt like I was in this dark room and I had this one light source, like this one way I was seeing the sensory stuff that she was talking about and the way she was talking about it. But then when I was watching the class, it was like another light source like came, so I could see the whole picture. So it's just a lot more information, and I feel like I'm able to gather a lot more data points and really understand what I'm looking at here. So I wanted to go over a little clip and talk about it.
I used these water hyacinth bins, which I think are great for the depth of my shelf. They're easy to pull out. They contain a lot of stuff. I use mason jars for things that I want to unpackage. But, I do also have items that remain in their package. So you could do both.
So where I was going wrong in this is I was thinking that these were ST reports, which they are, but it's more than that. This is SI. The way they talked about it in the class, I really liked. It was SI is not leaving any gaps. And that's what I was seeing. I was like, she's going through, she's listing baking powder, baking flour, baking soda, stuff like this. She has to list all of this sensory stuff exactly in order, not leave anything out. Whereas the SC-NI axis is more like, yeah, this is just generally this stuff. So once I could see that, the SI became a lot more clear, because it was like all of this stuff that I was thinking was just ST reports or like S reports was the SI. So I got that other light source, and it was like, oh, this is SI. This is talking about all of the information. This is dotting the I's, crossing the T's. And then the next thing was, this should have been easier, but sometimes it's as simple as she is organizing the physical, so this is SI, because it's organization, OI, and then it's not N. It's not organizing the intuition. This is organizing in the sensory, so it's SI. I was frustrated looking back and editing my video because I was like, oh, this is just organizing the physical, so it's SI. It's so obvious to me now, but I can see why I was kind of having some trouble, because I was trying to break apart everything that she was saying about categories versus the SI. And in that case, I can see why I might have been seeing SE and SI, but when you actually do look at the ratio, when you look at it from the perspective of she's sensor talking you through everything and not leaving any gaps, like it's a very tight SI weave, then you start to see the 90% SI and only 10% giving you categories and things like that. So then I wanted to talk about this more. I was taking this as support for NISE, like this is the concept, but it's not really, because at no point was she like, guys, this is really personal to me. I made all of these categories and this is why I did it like this. She's not really doing that. She's kind of like, yeah, this is my concept. And then she doesn't go into it at all. And then she goes to, and this is my chili sauce, and these are my nuts, and these are my jellies. I think that I should have been looking out for that more. It was just hard because, like, this is what you need to do in ops. This is why it's hard. When you see something like Mythbusters Adam Savage and he's in his workshop, you're seeing what he's doing, he's explaining the products, but then you need to go switch it to a different category. So this is now talking about pantry organization stuff, and me, with my demon and I don't want to make that jump. I want it to be the exact same sensor, and like, well, if she's not talking about tools, then I don't know. Might be good to take a bigger jump every now and again.
Tweezers, trimming your eyebrows.
So right here, where she's going through all this stuff, SI, not leaving any gaps, you can compare that to Joni.
And then each drawer has its own category. This one is for lashes, and this one is for the brows. So eye makeup in one specific zone.
That was such a clear example of Kitt being like, and this, and this, and this, and Joni just being like, this category. So I should have leveraged that difference more. Definitely something to keep in mind for next time when you have two people like this.
Eyeshadow on my lips. No wonder it's tingling my lips. It's not for my lips.
And then also I was seeing them play like that a lot, and then they kind of talked about in the class how that was a point for them being energy dominant because they're just kind of goofing off and the information isn't of critical importance. So this is what they ended up getting her as in this, is she's in this column. So this is the third blaster that I've done, which makes sense because the blasters are going to be more likely to come out with telling everybody what to do and making YouTube videos. But I thought that was funny. So I think because the last two people that I've done have been blasters, I was like, she has to be different, right? But she's just a blaster. I think this is actually the same column as Erwin McManus. I was actually really close, but then I started going here instead, like sleep higher. I got tripped up because I was attributing the difference between me and her to sleep being higher when it was actually SI versus SE. So I think that's another thing I should look for going forward is if they're not the same as me, is it that sleep is higher or is it that it's SI instead of SE? So yeah, they had her as observer. I was seeing that she was double deciding, but yeah, like I said, I've kind of been off with that one recently. Like with Erwin McManus, I was like, oh, he's doing all these double deciding things, and then he ended up being a decider, so I was a little bit hesitant to put all my chips on that one, which I shouldn't have been, but that's all right, next time. Also, something I missed was her, when she did the little pantry organization thing, she made her little map after she bought all her baskets. I thought that she made the map like way before, so I was like, oh, this is a lot of like sleep processing, but she made it after she got all of the baskets and organizers and came home. So I was looking for like, why don't I do that? What is this difference here? I would say it's both of those things, is the SI and the sleep being slightly higher. Also, this is another consume last person. I feel like consume last are a little bit hard to catch because sometimes they're the ones where you're kind of like, well, this isn't blast last. This isn't play last, this isn't sleep last, I guess it's consume last. But I think one thing you can look for with consume last is, in this case, Kitt she's organizing, and then new stuff isn't necessarily getting in. So are they organizing a lot more than they're consuming? When you compare her to someone like Gabby Hanna, who they organized the pantry of, Gabby's just crazy gathering, and then Kitt and Joni are organizing. organizing. So is that what they're going to addictively over consuming and gathering and things like that? But I wasn't actually too far off with this one. They also said in the class if you got her as an EJ, that would be understandable. I briefly considered IJ, but I haven't seen a million IJs. So also one thing I was thinking about was just because someone is high in SI doesn't mean they're play last. So I was like, oh, maybe this is sleep over play, but what I was actually seeing was just the SI. So you can be save your SI and also high in the play, and it can show up like in her. So I think this is a really good example of someone who has SI but also play blast. Or I'm sorry, she's blast play. But yeah, she's really cute face, the visual. I just thought with a little wider face than Joni, I was like, oh, maybe EJ or EP. But Joni ended up being an EJ, ENTJ, TENI. So yeah, she has the blast activated here, and then the play, and then the sleep, and then the consume last. This demon NF, I was really like, this is not NF blast. And I was right, this is ST blast. I think it's good that I got TE. That one was not the hardest in the world. Basically, I know this is ST and I know this is TE. So it narrowed it down a lot. But I really need to get better at SI versus NI. So I want to practice that a lot more in the future, especially NI. Like with Joni, I didn't really see the NI. I didn't know what type she was. So I really want to do a few more examples of that. So yeah, it was nice to do Kitt this week, and she actually made me get on top of my sleep processing a little bit. So I moved recently and I still didn't fold a bunch of my stuff. So I finally organized my shelves a little bit because I was just listening to her blast about SI. And so it was kind of good. It kind of made me get my stuff together a little bit more. So SITE, Kitt Fife, positive person and interesting type, the ST blast. So yeah, I'm excited to see who's up next.